Do you remember when Daddy used to tell you that story about the three little pigs and the big bad wolf? Do you remember why the big bad wolf couldn't get in the house?
Because it was made of bricks?
Just like your house.
Whatever happens tonight, remember it is my choice.
I know.
We have a 9-hour window to test and record our findings. Good luck tonight.
Hi there. My name is DJ Valdron. Welcome to my attic. This is the place where I store my strange little odds and ends. I'm a writer. These are my books. And today we are going to do a film review, and not one of my regular film reviews where I talk about some strange movie that nobody's ever heard of, but which I have some strange, unaccountable fondness for. We're going to do a modern movie, one that just came out this week. It's called Werewolves. It feels kind of like a throwback. It reminds me of the old-fashioned drive-in B movies, you know, the ones that just kind of chug out and they're going, oh, we don't have to have a plot. We don't have to have sense. We just have to just keep stuff moving and throw in a lot of monsters. All right. Let me introduce you to the backstory of this movie, just to give you some perspective. So, and I'm not spoiling everything. This is like in the first 30 seconds they give you the whole thing. Last year, there was something called a supermoon when the moon is really close to the Earth. And when that happened, 1/8 of the human race, 1 billion people, turned into werewolves. Now, that should have just been, the end. The movie should have been over in the first, minute, because if, 1/8 of the human population turns into 7-foot tall, giant, hairy, super strong cannibals that, want to murder everything in sight, including their own family members, well, there's nothing after that. They just eat the rest of the human race, and then they, wake up with stomach pains. That's it. There wouldn't be a human race left after that. But, okay, yeah, that's the backstory. And maybe the reason that they're doing it that way is because they want to do the Quiet Place kind of thing, where if this really takes off, they'll do a sequel. They'll do like a prequel movie. So it's basically media res in the post-apocalypse. We're seeing more of those, the whole zombie apocalypse movies these days. It's all post-apocalypse. Now, as post-apocalypses go, this one is actually pretty low-key. Civilization, it turns out, to my astonishment, is still trotting along just fine. The werewolf apocalypse is coming up. The supermoon is coming up again. And everyone is batting down the hatches and preparing for the next supermoon and the next werewolf apocalypse. And, it reminds me a bit of the Purge movies, where everybody knows it's coming and everybody's kind of like bolting their doors and getting ready and, arming up and stuff. I guess the real life counterpart to that is Florida, where every time you turn around, people are just getting ready for the next hurricane. Anyway, so everyone is getting ready, including Frank's family, which oddly enough is his deceased brother, his wife, and his niece. This is actually probably the strangest part of the movie, because normally in these sorts of things, it would be Frank's wife, not his sister-in-law. Go fit. I have no idea why they're doing it that way. But there you go. Anyway, they're basically getting the house ready to survive the werewolf's apocalypse siege, which basically involves, fencing and pepper spray and electrification and batting down the hatches and cameras, etc., turning the house into a fortress. Everybody's doing that to some extent or another. And that's kind of sensible. And you kind of get a sense of the world, the vibe as they're going. The problem is that Frank can't be there, because in addition to being some kind of badass special forces guy, he's also he's a microbiologist. Yeah. Okay, look, I like Frank Grillo. I like his performances. I like his character. He's a great, he works as a villain or a hero. He's basically a big, tough, working class lunkhead. and he does that really well. He's not like the leading man. He's the guy that the leading man fights, or the leading man's buddy who falls off the side of a mountain. But he's a microbiologist, so he's actually part of the project to stop the werewolves. He does this by being part of this big institutional, super duper experiment with lab coats and all this kind of thing, where they put sunscreen on people to prevent them from turning. I'm not making this up, really. The big means of combating the werewolf epidemic is basically sunscreen. I gotta say, look, this movie's dumb, but it's dumb in a fun way. There's just, you just live with it. Okay. And by the way, Frank apparently was deeply involved in this movie. He had some personal commitment here because his name is all over the production credits. So I'm assuming that this movie was near and dear to his heart or something. Maybe he just thought it would sell. But he's deeply involved. So, if I'm making fun of stuff, I'm making fun of you, Frank, but in a friendly way. Don't beat me up. Anyway, so he has to go to this special project working on sunscreen to stop people from turning into werewolves. And along the way, we discover that so far the only way to stop people from turning into werewolves is for them to not go out into the moonlight. That's it. That's a major plot point. If you go out into the moonlight, you will turn into a werewolf if you're one of the 8 billion. And I'm going, what the hell? So that's all it takes, just stay indoors? And it's something that nobody in the movie really seems to pick up on. They're just going, oh yeah, we've got the werewolf apocalypse coming, and there's nothing that we can do about it except, maybe make sure all the potential werewolves stay indoors. I mean, lock them up in the basement and they don't turn, and then you're fine. Have special institutions, they got to show up, and then, shoot everybody else that's running around outdoors. But what the hell? This is like a non-apocalypse. This is like solvable. It's like, you've got the zombie apocalypse, but, you can make the zombies go away by saying, no, bad zombie. Yeah. Anyway, the project to apply sunscreen to werewolves goes horribly wrong. In an almost comic Rube Goldberg kind of way, because in this movie, humans are not very smart and they're very accident prone. And so once everything goes tits up, Frank has to basically escape and go on this cross-country mission to get back to his family before all the werewolves besieging the house, break in and do bad things. So that actually is kind of a fun bit. You've got the journey through enemy territory. That's John Carpenter stuff, Escape from Mars or Escape from New York City. It's basically the crusade through enemy territory, having to reach that goal. Mel Gibson did miles and miles of films on that. And it works. You've got a whole bunch of quirky little action set pieces that go bang, 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 bang. And that's that's a lot of fun. And mostly it keeps you from thinking too much about the little logical breakdowns and, stuff that's not going. Anyway, so that part of that part of the movie is actually, pretty workable. And the weakest part of the movie, however, is the home front story. And that falls on Katrina Law, who stars as the mom and Frank's sister-in-law. She just really blows it. See, the problem, I know what they're trying to do with this, with her subplot. And I have seen it done. I have seen it done many times and very well, but they just blow it here. And part of the problem is Katrina Law's performance, where she doesn't really give anything and she doesn't really have much to offer. I think she was probably unsatisfied with the dialogue in the script, so they just wrote her a lot of dialogue, or maybe that was what they did at the start. But because she's really got nobody to talk to, she talks to herself a lot. So you've got some affirmations. And then she yells at the werewolves outside, which doesn't really help or do anything. And she spends a lot of her dialogue just kind of shouting and kind of emoting over the top and just dragging things down, because she's not very smart and doesn't actually fight off the werewolves terribly effectively. So mostly she's just an annoying character, sadly enough. Anyway, she doesn't have confidence in her performance, I don't think, or in her character, and that leads to stupid dialogue and bad decisions for the character throughout. Not that she's alone. I mean, this whole movie is based on humans making stupid decisions and sloppy mistakes constantly. Everybody in this movie who's human is pretty accident prone and a bit kind of goofy. The werewolves are actually smarter. The werewolves are organized. Well, they're not really organized, but they're at least cooperative. They use tools. They have plans. They figure things out, so the werewolves actually kind of have it going on. They're not mindless critters. They're kind of thinking mindless critters. Anyway, so it goes. The movie has to rely on the humans being stupid and accident prone. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of the plot points is that Frank, I'm going to spoil it a little bit, not too much. One of the plot points is that Frank is a werewolf himself, and he's wearing sunscreen that only lasts about an hour. So if he gets caught out in moonlight after that, he'll turn. Now, there's some nice dramatic possibilities there. You've got the clock ticking down, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. And Frank is, urgent to get home, but he's also very desperate not to turn into a werewolf, which would kind of, defeat his whole purpose. Except that there are points where after the clock expires, Frank is out in the moonlight, and they just kind of go, yeah, okay, we're forgetting about this plot point until we need it back again. Yeah, the characters are stupid. The movie is stupid. I've admitted that. But there's some fun stuff in this. Most of the effects are practical, and I really enjoyed that. This is a movie that's full of men in monster suits with latex bladders for the transformation. And they're all wearing these big animatronic monster heads that have like wires, so you can, see them growling and the eyes like moving around and the lips curling back and the jaws open and wide. It looks a little bit cartoonish. But you know what? There's a kind of nostalgia to it. This is not the smooth, super polished CGI monsters. I mean, they probably got CGI in here some places, but the monsters are kind of fun in their goofy, cartoonish / scary way. And I'm an old drive-in fan, so that kind of works for me. Overall, deeply stupid movie, but you don't mind because it never lets up. It doesn't lag. It just keeps on moving no matter what. And it's got enough kinetic energy that you don't really mind all the little breakdowns in logic, all the coincidence, all the sort of silly stuff where you're going, yeah, human beings don't do that kind of thing. It just keeps on moving. And it's got a lot of great little action set pieces, and it's got jump scares, and, it's just got that kind of fun energy that counts for a lot. It's never going to be great art. And it's certainly, never going to be up for the Academy Awards. It's a drive-in movie, but it's fun. Give it a shot. I mean, go to the theater, pass them some money. This is just a good old-fashioned horror movie. It's not promising to be anything. It's not pretending to be anything. It's just fun. So go for it.
Bite me!